All right, people are loading in now. Hello, everyone. Happy Monday/Tuesday to everyone. I'm very, very excited about this panel on a number of levels. We had Nick join us for what was a virtual winners trip that we had with our last year's winners. And that's not something we've talked about more widely, but the reviews and raves from Nick's panel here were spectacular. And, you know, I like to set a bar really high for people before they go do something in front of a live audience, and then really just make them have to perform at the top level and then worry the whole time. I'm just kidding. So hello, we're so happy to be here with you guys. We're kicking off our first of our GISH Genius Mentor panels. As you can see, I'm either in a green screen or I'm also at the Golden Gate Bridge. Lots of stuff happening with GISH in the background, lots of stuff happening that we are not yet able to announce yet, but Gishporium is still open. The Gishporium is our shop. So we have that open right now. If you purchase anything, you could win a really fantastic group of Beeline products. Judging is about to commence, which we're very excited about for both Wizards and Weirdos. That has already started taking place. And then the current hunt judging is about to begin. GISH diplomas have been sent out. So if you didn't get yours, send us an email. Those GISH diplomas are your doctorate in Gishology, Gishontology, Gishiology. It's one of those. It's one of those. I'm so sorry to the interpreter who has to figure out what the heck I'm saying right now. Those words don't make any sense anyway. At any rate, I hope you have all your supplies. I hope you're ready to talk about chocolate. Nick, thanks so much for coming by.
Absolutely. Absolute pleasure to be here. Lovely to see everybody. Or hopefully I'll be seeing a few more people as we go along because you're here to learn how chocolate is made. So you're going to see a little bit about how chocolate goes from bean to bar. But also, importantly, you're going to learn how to temper chocolate. So I don't know if anybody's ever seen any of those TV programs where they temper chocolate. You see them pouring chocolate onto the marble slab, then moving it backwards and forwards. Today, you're going to be learning how to do that in a non-OCD inducing manner. So you don't need to worry about chocolate pouring all over your sideboard, ruining your house and cleaning it for the next year or so. Basically, you're going to be learning to do this just within a bowl. Okay, so all you need is a bowl, all you need is a microwave or a stovetop, and we will get straight into it. Chocolate for slobs, says Theo. I like that. Chocolate is for me. So technically, I guess I am a slob. Let me explain. Thank you for giving me an opportunity to segue there, Theo. I got into chocolate making by journalism, and I'll explain a little bit more about that a little bit later on. I used to be a correspondent for one of the major news organizations, but I ended up doing a story about chocolate making. It changed my life. So today, you guys are going to be learning how to temper chocolate. So before we do that, I'd just like to welcome everybody to Jamaica. I'm seeing like France come up and New York and all these other places. I'd like to just see if I can just show you, hopefully you can see where it says 11 Cacao. That screen there in front of you is a view from my house. So that is looking down on Kingston, which is the capital of Jamaica. So you've probably heard of some of the things which have come from Jamaica. So prime example, reggae, rocksteady, ska, mento, dub, dancehall. Beth, the list goes on in terms of musical forms which have come out of this island. But we're much more than that. So you can see in that view, it's a port city. It's actually a horseshoe-shaped harbour surrounded by mountains. We're about 1,000 feet up looking down, but you may be able to see a window behind me, see if I can point out to it, just there. That is where the Blue Mountains are. That is home to some of the most expensive and exclusive coffee in the world. And really important thing, where you find coffee is where you find cacao, the fruit which we eventually turn into chocolate. So bear that in mind for future reference. Today, some of you are going to be learning, as I said, how to temper chocolate. So I will need some of you guys up on screen to enable us to be able to do that. So I'm going to hopefully get some of you to bring your cameras up so that I can work alongside you. More importantly, just so that I can make sure that you're not burning your houses down. No chocolate is going to get hurt during this experience. Hopefully no people are going to get hurt. But I can see Kendra saying that she's going to be coming up. Raise your hand, as Charlie says, so that we can get you on screen. I can interact with you guys and we can get straight into the chocolate making. Because I really want to know what kind of chocolates you like. I'm going to get the team behind the scenes to be able to talk to me about what chocolates you guys like, how chocolate makes you feel. And then we're going to get straight into it. We're going to get straight into the making. I can see Jennifer has come up. Kendra is in the house. We've got Yvette, Kate. This is good. This is good. Who else have we got? This is good. Jennifer. If you don't mind, would you bring your mic up just so that we can say hello? Hi, Jennifer. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm very well, very well. Blessed to see you and everybody else. Jennifer, whereabouts are you? And really important question. What's your favorite chocolate?
I'm right smack in the middle of the United States in the state of Missouri. And my favorite chocolate is milk chocolate.
Excellent, excellent. I'm hopefully also going to get people to bring their names up, if that's okay, just so I can see them. So, Jennifer, you've got a sous chef. Who is this sous chef you brought in?
This is my daughter, Andrea. She's 7.
I love that. Andrea, most of the time we're trying to bring children out of the cocoa supply chain, but today we've got Andrea in the house to be able to help. That was a bit of a naughty one, but it's true though. We're going to get onto the politics of chocolate making in a bit, but I've got a feeling Andrea is going to be perfect for today. Good to see you, Andrea. And also, how many children do you have there, Jennifer? What's going on?
2. I'm sorry. They love me they love being on Zoom. This is Valerie.
Hi, Valerie. 9. Hi, Andrea. I'm gonna ask a quick question. Andrea, first up, what's your favorite chocolate, Andrea?
Andrea, what kind of chocolate do you like? Milk chocolate.
Okay. Valerie, favorite chocolate, please.
Dark or milk chocolate.
What kind do you like, Valerie?
I don't care if it's dark or milk chocolate.
I like it. A non-discriminatory chocolate eater. She doesn't care if it's white, dark, milk. This is a safe space for chocolate right now, okay? So it doesn't matter what you like, okay? Inclusions, even we're good, especially white chocolate. Jennifer, back to you. Favorite chocolate, please, if that's okay.
I thought I said milk chocolate. Am I supposed to get more specific?
No, yeah, actually, do you like chocolate with? I know the kids are what they're in, but straight or with a chaser? Do you like it with inclusions or no inclusions?
It depends on the inclusions. I do like just straight chocolate. I also like with caramel or caramel, however you want to say it.
I love that. What I'm really impressed by is the fact that Andrea is able to open her mouth that wide. Because I'm just embarrassed to do it. You know, when you have to start paying for your dental, you stop doing that. So fortunately, that's not a problem for her. Jennifer, thank you so much for sharing. We're going to put you back on mute. Who else do we have in the house? Not everybody's names come up, so I may have to start guessing. There's someone with like what looks like an Apple Watch who's on screen. Hi, what's your name and where are you?
Hi, I'm Danielle and I'm from Germany.
Danielle, whereabouts in Germany are you?
In the west, near Netherlands.
Wonderful, wonderful. Tell me, listen, that's a really good point, actually. If I remember rightly, the Swiss, followed by the Germans, are the 2 largest consumers of chocolate in the world. So I need to figure a way to get chocolate over to you, Danielle, okay? So yes. We need to make this happen. What chocolate do you like, Danielle? What chocolate do you like?
My favorite chocolate is this.
Okay. It looks like it's got mountains in Alpia. Okay. Really pushing that Swiss thing there, clearly.
Yeah.
Which is interesting because, Danielle, as you may well know, I've never seen a cocoa tree growing in the Alps. When you think about it, like, the Belgians, the French, the Italians, the Swiss, all renowned for their chocolate, not a single cacao tree for miles. Sorry, thousands of miles. Sorry, tens of thousands of miles. Let me just get that right. Okay, but Danielle, thank you so much for sharing. I'm going to get everybody who's got their cameras up just to allow their names to be there so that I can see exactly who's there. There's a couple of people who I can see who are in a wonderful kitchen in a pink cerise top and also a black top. If you can tell me what your names are, if that's okay.
Can you see me, or are you talking about me?
And this is my
No, I've got Christy, and to be fair, this is the first time I've ever actually worked out what cerise actually is. I'm not sure if that was right, but hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. Am I nearly there? Am I nearly there, color-wise?
Yeah, you're there.
This is good. Tell me where you guys are. Favorite chocolate, please.
Well, we're in Orlando, Florida, and I like both milk and dark chocolate. I'm a white chocolate person.
This is good. This is good. As I said, non-discriminatory. Come or listen, as far as I'm concerned, I may even start a universal church of chocolate. It seems like in the US, you can start a church for tax reasons, for anything. So I'm in, okay? Just, we can make this work in a sort of non-Jim Jonesy sort of way. But you get what I mean, okay? Universal church of chocolate. Listen, I'm going to go across to Kendra. Kendra, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm very well. I'm very well. Favorite chocolate, please, Kendra, if that's okay.
Definitely dark chocolate.
Ooh, okay. What is your upper percentage? How high would you go? Just making sure that there's no kids on this. What's the highest percentage you would go with chocolate?
I would probably say like 90.
This is good. This is good.
I really don't like milk chocolate, so.
Okay, Jennifer, fight. No, listen, as I said, everybody is welcome with their chocolate love today, okay? All comers. Kendra, would you like dark chocolate with inclusions or without it?
Definitely either or. I could do like pretzels or raspberries.
This is good. This is good. I like how Tiffany just said blasphemy. I'm not sure which bit was blasphemous. I'm afraid, Tiffany. I've said a lot so far, which is deeply concerning. So, you know, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. But I'm aware that there are children who are on this call. So I'm going to try and keep it as good as we can. Everybody, I'm going to speak to as many people as I can. I know there's at least another couple of people I haven't spoken to yet. If you can bring your cameras up, and we will get straight into the chocolate making. We've got a good amount of people in here so far. If there are any questions which are coming up, I'm going to ask the team behind the scenes to just pass them through to me. But is everybody ready for making chocolate? Are you ready? Are you ready to go? This is good. This is good. So whenever you watch Bake Off, does anyone watch Bake Off? Please tell me you watch Bake Off. Literally, it's the best thing we ever invented in the UK. Well, I guess technically I was invented in the UK, but that's a whole other issue, which my parents will get into. But basically, whenever you watch those TV programs, you see them getting chocolate, they pour it onto the marble slab, they're using the palette, the spatula, moving it back and around. Today, as I said, you're going to be learning how to do that in a very easy, simple way. What I need you to do is hold up the chocolate you are going to be using. Hold up the chocolate which you're going to be using. I can see some Ghirardelli, I can see some Bakers, chocolate chips with Kendra. Okay, this is good. Toll House. Yeah, this is good. This is good. Everything about chocolate making, okay, whenever you watch those programs, Christy, is about thirds. Okay, so they're getting 2/3 of their chocolate and they're pouring onto a marble slab. And then once they get the right consistency, when they've got it tempered, they're going to use some chocolate which is off screen. They're almost influencing it. You know, like how stuff goes viral nowadays? They're basically influencing, using the chocolate which is melted to influence the chocolate which is just off screen. You guys are going to be doing the same things. So what I want you to do is I want you to get 2/3 of the chocolate you're using. If you've got chocolate chips, this is really easy. So what you're going to do is just get 2 handfuls of chocolate chips. Okay, they can be either really minuscule, like really tight, don't want anybody to use your chocolate, or really big dumper truck. Do you know, Christy, you know when like you were at school and you didn't want people to share your potato chips and you like close the top of the package so that they couldn't get it? It's a similar sort of way. So either a little smidgy, a terrible not sharing amount, or a big amount. Basically, it's going to allow us to be able to basically scale it all the time. Kendra, if you've got a bar, okay, I want you to open your bar. Okay, look at the bar and then work out 2/3 of your bar. Okay, keep a third within the package, okay? And then when you've done that, I want you to almost mimic the chocolate chips which the others have. And you're going to do that by breaking open that 2/3, sort of breaking it along the squares, breaking it along the segments, okay? Is everybody good with that? Oh, you've got chocolate chips. You see, this is why Zoom is bad for one's eyesight, because I'm scanning the room and literally not being able to tell who is who. Okay, I would do really badly on America's Got Talent. I can tell already. You know what I mean? Magic trick. Oh no, sorry, I've just done it really badly wrong, Heidi. So either way, what we're going to do now is you've got your chocolate into your bowls. Okay, if it's a bar, you've broken it up. If it's chocolate chips, you've got your 2 handfuls in there. You've got a retained handful within the package. You're going to put them into the microwave. Different chocolates will have different melt points. Okay, so dark chocolate requires a little bit more heat than milk, and similarly it requires a little bit more heat than white chocolate. Dark chocolate is going to go in the microwave for 45 seconds. 45 seconds. Milk's going to go in for 40 seconds, and white chocolate would go in for 35. Really other important point, Beth, I'm so glad you're doing such a good job of like ASL, because I speak fast and that's a very English thing, so I'm very impressed. Okay, different chocolates, different melt points, different bowls, importantly, will also have different thermic qualities. So if you're using a plastic bowl, that's going to heat differently in the microwave to a ceramic, and again differently to a glass. Okay, also different microwaves, Christy, will have different wattages. Like, you know, some of them are like Energy Star or whatever, and it's like, you know, I don't know, but like the wattages can change the amount of energy coming into your bowl, and that can really mess with how quickly your chocolate is going to melt out. Okay, so when we've got that done, hopefully your chocolate will have come out of the microwave. It's gone in for 45 seconds, 40 or 35. 45, remember, for dark, 40 for milk, 35 seconds for white. I can see someone with a glass bowl. If you can just hold that, raise that up just for a second. It doesn't look very melted, does it? Doesn't look very impressive whatsoever. And you're constantly wondering right now, why did we book this with GISH? Why did we come here in the first place? Because this is not particularly very melted chocolate, Kendra. Don't worry. If you feel the sides of the bowl, can you feel a little bit of warmth coming from the bowl? That warmth is your friend. Honestly, Christy, I feel like Tony Robbins when I say that. The warmth is your friend. Use the warmth. The warmth will get you where you need to be. But it's true, right? So if you use that warmth, if you start stirring it, okay, as you start stirring it, you're going to start seeing some of it melting along the bottom. Can you see it starting to melt along the bottom? This is really good. Normally, this is where I get people to look underneath the bowl to see how melty it is. But I am aware of possible litigation and the possibility, Beth, we don't want chocolate falling on people's heads. That would not be a good look, okay? We don't want chocolate. Oh, I see some brave people there. You guys are good. You guys are good. As you move it around, you'll see that it's getting a little bit more liquidy on the bottom. But as you stir it in, literally some of that chocolate, that room temperature chocolate, is kind of slowing down the melt. You see it's starting to get a little bit lumpy and a little bit clumpy. The benefit of this is that it will not be burnt. And trust me, that is the biggest issue you have with tempering chocolate. If you've ever seen people tempering chocolate where they use a double boiler, Kendra, you know, you get a saucepan, you get a bowl, you put a little bit of water in there, it literally starts, the steam starts going up and that indirect heat melts the chocolate. It's a great way to burn chocolate. And you know what's really bad about burnt chocolate? Litigation. Trust me, I do not want any of you people to sue me or GISH or anybody else for the fact that your houses are burnt down because of burnt chocolate. So what we're doing is putting it in the microwave, allows a little bit of heat to rise and gets a little bit of that chocolate to get warm. If your chocolate is super melty, as you'll tend to find, and I'm going to be very careful how I say this, with chocolate which is a little bit less expensive, okay, where they swap out the cocoa butter in there for other things like palm oil, you'll find that even on this first blast, your chocolate will be completely melted through. If it needs a little bit more heat, what I want you to do is put it back in the microwave. If it's lumpy and clumpy, Kendra, and a little bit chunky, we're going to put it back in the microwave for the same amount of time as you did first time around. So 45 seconds for dark. Yep, that's right, Sally. Oh, you put it back in. Sally, this is a very basic concept, okay? Hold your horses, okay? I literally just spoke about being sued. I do not want you to do too much heating, okay? Just enough to get where we need to do, okay? Where we need to be. So we're putting it back in the microwave when it comes out, I want you to almost use your spatula in a non-violent, aggressive way. I'm not sure if that even works, but I want you to smudge the living hell out of it in a way which isn't going to get me in trouble with GISH. Okay, so basically use the back of the spatula, okay, to really press it out. Let me bring up another camera. If you know anybody who works at GoPro, by the way, they could do me a big favor right now. So we're just going to use my other camera and hopefully the Blue Mountains of Jamaica, just in case anybody wants to come here in future. Bearing in mind, half of our GDP is based on tourism. Come and visit. But in the meantime, what I want you to do is I want you to use the back of your spatula and basically just really, as I said, smudge it out. Use the back of a spatula to really get some of the heat from here. The heat is our friend. To really, Liz, just kind of press out any of that chocolate. And as you do so, you'll see it become a little bit more shiny as you really get some of that melting going. You'll almost get a sheen to it. Use that to really get the chocolate nice and melty to a point, this is a little bit too thick, but to a point where it's literally just dripping off the spatula, okay? If you've got any big chunks, Siobhan, you'd almost use the edge of the spatula, almost like a knife blade, just to kind of break it up. When you do that, you'll see like the insides of the actual bar kind of open up. They'll appear as like grains. Again, just use the back of a spatula just to crush them out of existence. Okay, Kate, that's looking about right. Is it dripping off? Liz is looking about right. Let's look. Almost there. Okay, Jennifer, into the microwave, 15 seconds. Kate, 15 seconds. Liz, you're about right. Lisa, how's yours looking? Jessica, I'm loving your style. Excellent, excellent. Lisa, fantastic, fantastic. Okay, so we want it to a point where it's dripping off. Remember, Kate, just a little bit of heat just to be able to get it to that point. We're going to test our chocolate. Siobhan, my favorite bit. Normally, I have to put out another little legal caveat, which is, okay, don't lick your spatula. Because normally people are there like going, like is it wild abandon? Okay, as I said, we have young people on this call, so we're going to be very aware of like the fact that they're there. What we're going to do is we're putting a little dab of chocolate right here. Kate, you were wondering whether or not I could be blasphemous anymore. I'm just going to continue that theme. Almost like a little chocolate stigmata. We're putting a little dab of chocolate right here. Yep, Siobhan, I went there. I did actually go there. You get putting a little dab of chocolate right there. Okay, hopefully it should feel about body temperature. Body temperature. So if we want it not to be hotter, not to be cooler, but like right bang in the middle, Jennifer. Okay, if you can't feel a difference, that's body temperature. Now feel free to lick the chocolate away. Yep, I like that, Jennifer. Army of the Dead style. Like, oh, this is good. This is good. I like it. I like it. Bring out your inner zombie there, Jennifer. I like it. So, and Jennifer is gone, okay, to devour somebody else. This is great. This is great. So when you've got your chocolate at body temperature, this is what we're looking for. We're going to get our remaining third of chocolate. So if it's a chocolate bar, you're going to get that remaining third of chocolate, which is in the package. Kate, if it's chocolate chips, that remaining handful of chocolate chips, I want you to put it onto a chopping board. Put it onto a chopping board, okay? And this is really up to personal preference, but the smaller we can make those bits of chocolate, the easier it's going to be eventually to be able to add that, Siobhan, into our melted chocolate. Because yes, you're right. We've taken perfectly good chocolate, melted it. We're getting some more perfectly good chocolate, chopping it up to then melt it, okay? To Theo, yes, it is different to a certain degree because different chocolates will melt out at different temperatures. Different chocolates will also temper at different temperatures too. So what we want is it to be significantly lower with white chocolate than what it would be with milk and also dark. The way to be able to do that is, as we said at the beginning, we amended the amount of time which we put it into the microwave for. That time difference is going to allow a little bit less heat to be able to get into our chocolate. We want it to be lower than body temp, significantly lower than body temp, almost to a point where you can really feel like it's almost getting cold for us to be able to know that that chocolate is right, especially for white chocolate, okay? And then we're going to be doing the same thing, okay? Siobhan, what did you say? You're impressed that I pronounced, what did I pronounce right, Siobhan?
You pronounced Siobhan correctly. You didn't say soybean or Siobahan or Siban.
Yeah, to be fair.
Really impressive, really.
Siobhan, I grew up in the UK, and in the UK, Well, you remember the film The Commitments, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the Irish and the Blacks of Europe, who was, my school was full of Siobhans. So like, it's not a problem, not a problem. We lived in the same places, you know. That there was a famous saying in the UK, which I'm not going to repeat, but basically they wouldn't allow dogs and they wouldn't allow black people and they wouldn't allow Irish back in the 1960s. So when my parents came over to the UK, it was very, very difficult for both of those communities. So, you know, similar struggle, but hey, that's what happens when people have prejudice. Rubbish. So either way, everybody, we are getting into our chocolate, moving away from geopolitics yet again, Charlie. That's twice in one conversation. I keep on doing it, but that's what happens when you're a former journalist. Kate's got her chocolate nicely chopped up. This is looking good, Kate. Smaller you chop it, less of an upper body workout it's going to be. And I make chocolate, so I assure you, I do not do any upper body workouts. So we're going to divide it into 3 equal piles. 3 equal piles. 1, 2, 3 equal piles. When you've got 3 equal piles, I want you to add 1 pile into our chocolate, okay? If you have milk chocolate, remember we said earlier on, I'm going to get you to try and wait a minute or so. Maybe 2 minutes, it would be even better to allow that chocolate to cool down a little bit longer. If you've got white chocolate, again, the longer you can leave it so that you can almost feel a distinct coolness to that chocolate, the easier it's going to be. As Theo said, there is a ton of politics in chocolate, which is why it was an easy transition for me coming from journalism with a international broadcaster to go into chocolate, because it feels like the work continues. I'll tell you guys a bit more about that later on once we get the chocolate out of the way. You're adding your first pile in. As you add in your first pile, Kate, you're going to start seeing some of the chocolate around the sides starting to melt. Are you seeing that chocolate starting to melt around the sides? Excellent. We're doing the right job. As it's melting, you're also going to be noticing in probably about 15, 10, yeah, I'm trying to do it. You know, like how like gym instructors do the countdown? I'm always impressed how they do it. In 10, 9, 8, 7. Basically, anytime now, Kate, you're going to feel that there's a change in viscosity. Can you feel that it's starting to get a little bit thicker, a little bit more resistance to be able to stir it in? It's still melting, but you can feel that it's changed. That change is you tempering chocolate, okay? Whenever you watch Bake Off, as I said, and they're pouring the chocolate onto the marble slab, they're tempering it. What on earth is tempering? Beth, I should have explained this a long time ago. Tempering is what gives chocolate the characteristics we know and love. When you buy a bar of chocolate and you buy it and you look at it, it looks shiny. Look at this. Look at this. Look how shiny that bar is. It's shiny because the chocolate is properly tempered. When you break it, Siobhan, it has a distinct snap because, again, the chocolate's tempered. Hopefully you guys should be able to see, but I've broken this bar of chocolate. Can you see a grain, Jessica, running through the chocolate? Yep. That graininess is a physical embodiment of those type 5 crystals. That's what's going to let chocolate, importantly, and I know I'm going to sound like an M&M advert here, melt in your mouth, not in your hands. Okay, this is what we are going for right now. We're trying to bring out those right characteristics. When we melt the chocolate down, Siobhan, it literally is like a hard reset. You know, like there's different ways of hard resetting. Apparently with my Mac, they told me that I need to Control-Alt-Delete. Rubbish, never works. It's either throwing it at a wall or switching it off and just like, so this is a hard delete for our chocolate, everybody, okay? This is literally gonna get our chocolate to reset, okay? But when we reset it, we need to make sure that we build it back in the right way. So how do we do that? By adding our chopped chocolate. As you're adding in your chopped chocolate, Kate, you're literally passing on those type 5 crystals, which exists within our normal chocolate bar. If you didn't, this is what it would look like. Can you see this chocolate in my hand? Liz, can you see how mottled it looks? See how kind of, it kind of looks discolored. It almost looks a bit off. Prime example, if you ever get chocolate and you put it in the fridge during the summer, right now, and you take it out and it's got that white weird sheen sort of thing on top of it, that's because it hasn't got the right types of cocoa butter crystals in there. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different types. What we're after when we have proper chocolate is type 5. The shine, the snap, the mouthfeel. When you get chocolate which has been out in the sun, been too cold, it's going to have all of those different things, okay? So when the first pile of chocolate is in, you're going to add the second. When the second's done, you're going to add the third, okay? I just lost the ability to be able to count. This is what happens when you speak too quickly, Beth. I need to slow my roll, okay? Because I can't even To be fair, I've got dyscalculia, so I'm really the worst person to even start talking about thirds and counting backwards. Like literally, this is just madness as far as I'm concerned. So right now, you're getting your first pile in. If it's starting to slow down, Kate, and it's really starting to get thick, and you're like, I want to sue Nick for a carpal tunnel injury, which I can quite imagine that you may want to do, right? Don't do that. As you can tell, I'm very anti-litigation, especially living in a middle-income developing country. So we don't want that to happen. So what we're going to do is we're going to put it into the microwave for about 15 seconds, just to raise the working temperature just a little bit, Jennifer. Okay? So it's almost like, I always get this wrong. Did they say that you can't destroy energy? Energy can't be destroyed. Well, chocolate molecules can be destroyed-ish. The cocoa butter, which is like the MVP of our chocolate bar, can be destroyed. But to rebuild it, we need to add those little bits of already type 5 crystals into our chocolate. Chocolate, Kate, is a suspension. I want you to always remember this. It's a suspension of cocoa butter, which is the oil, which is naturally within a cocoa bean, of cocoa solids, which are the fibrous bits, the bits which we can't refine all the way out, sugar to sweeten it, Siobhan, and milk powder if it's a milk chocolate bar. But it's a cocoa butter, which is really the building blocks. It's what's passing on the characteristics, okay? It's like the source code. I don't know why I'm saying source code, Lisa, because I literally know nothing about computing. But it's like the source code of our chocolate. It's what's going to give the characteristics. It's going to like make the machine work, okay? And if we get it wrong, it's going to do all of the things we don't want it to do. But if we add it in the right way, it's going to work perfectly. It's going to work perfectly. It's almost like a TikTok video. I don't know if any of you guys out there watch TikTok, right? I know I don't. I only just see the occasional reels. Oh, that's another company. But either way, right? What happens is these things go viral. One person starts doing it, and then another, and then another, and then another. And this is what's happening with your chocolate. By adding in that chopped chocolate, Lisa, we're adding in influencers, dreaded influencers. I just don't get that, to be fair, right? Because I don't see how they make a huge difference, personally. I've never bought anything off the back of an influencer. Sorry, Charlie, I know you guys work in tech, but I just, nothing. But either way, we're adding influencers in, and slowly we're hoping that Charlie's like, really? Why are you throwing me into this gauntlet? Right? Literally, we're hoping that more and more of those influencers are going to create the right conditions to have.
Nick, you're losing me.
Is that possible, Beth? Is that possible? You've done this for like major broadcasters. Am I really that bad?
You're talking so fast. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
As I said earlier on, I am going to slow my roll. My name's Nick, and I'm a chocolate maker in Jamaica. No, seriously, everybody, I'm going to slow down just to make it easier for everybody who is in here. So we're basically passing on those right characteristics into our chocolate. Lisa, how many have you got in so far? 1, 2, or 3? 1, 2, or 3 piles in. Oh, we can't hear you for a moment. This could be a good opportunity to practice your ASL or your lip reading ability. Lisa, bring your mic up so we can hear you.
Yeah, so I've got in 2/3 of it, and it's getting rather thick, but not thick enough. How thick does it need to be?
We want it a little thicker than when you first took, remember when you tested it? And you put a little dab? We want it a little thicker than that, a little thicker than that. So what I want you to do is put it back in the microwave for about, that's not too bad actually, Lisa, but can you put it in for about 10 seconds and then add in your final pile, please? Okay.
I actually don't have a microwave. I'm using a double boiler.
Okay, no problem, no problem. One thing about the double boiler, which Lisa's using, is you have to be really careful that you don't overheat it. What I tend to ask people to do is, if they can do, almost kind of get it half melted on the double boiler and then take it off the heat, Lisa, and then use the retained heat from that bowl to be able to get the rest of their chocolate completely melted in. Otherwise, it's almost like a whistling kettle. Too much heat gets in there, and by the time you want it to start really doing what it needs to do, it's going to take until this time next year, or until I stop talking, Beth, for the chocolate to get to temperature. It could be a long time. Kate, how are you doing? 1, 2, or 3? All 3? In the immortal words of Oprah Winfrey, you in a car, Kate. The Great Capitalist Experiment works. There was no winner which was assigned initially, but it is a race and you won it. So well done, Kate. Tell me, what are you going to be using as a mold, and what are you going to be using as inclusions? What's going to be going in there?
have a little silicone mold here. It's actually designed for pigs in a blanket, but it's shaped like sharks.
I love that. I love that. All we need to do is make sure that that mold is completely dry. Okay, number one. And then you can add your inclusions top, middle, or bottom. Top, middle, or bottom. So if you added, let's say, sprinkles in the bottom of those sharks, put chocolate on top. When you come to unmold it later on, after it comes out of the fridge or the freezer, you would have little bits of sprinkles poking out of your sharks, which sounds weird, but you've got what I'm saying. That's a really weird sort of vision in my mind. If you could do it literally in a sandwich effect, so a layer of chocolate, a layer of your ingredients, dried nuts, dried fruit,
marshmallow
whatever.
fluff.
What was that? Sorry, Kate?
Marshmallow fluff.
Oh, bring it on. Listen, I barely understand that as a non-American, but I know how you guys love marshmallows plus chocolate, okay? Like s'mores. I don't know what it is, Siobhan, but s'mores, I don't know how Americans manage to keep that secret. That looks really good. That should work. Go for it. It's your shop. As the French would say, today you are fondeurs du chocolat, which is really bad. Said like only a true Englishman can say. And I'm really intrigued to see whether or not Beth can actually translate that. But fondeurs du chocolat means a melter of chocolate, a melter of chocolate. So you're literally melting, creating your own chocolates. Whatever you want to do is going to be able to work today. The only rule of Chocolate Club, I don't know if anyone remembers Fight Club, which is a great movie, but the only rule of Chocolate Club is no wet stuff. That just sounded really weird in Fight Club. But nothing which is liquid is going to go into your chocolate, or else it will seize. It will become really granular. Sorry, Tiffany's comment literally made me chuckle and almost choke. No alcohol then, Tiffany. No alcohol. Okay? It is earlier than 5 a.m. somewhere in the world right now. Okay? So no alcohol. Okay, buzzkill. You can throw in edibles if you really want to. The choice is yours, okay? It seems to be legal in many parts of the world. Charlie's eyes just went somewhere there. I don't know where they went. I'm assuming it was nothing to do with edibles, but probably just the fact that I said it. Peanut butter can just about work. What I want to do is a layer of chocolate, almost throw in the middle then, okay, some peanut butter, and then kind of completely encapsulate it. It's almost going to be like a peanut butter cupish type thing, okay, which is covered by chocolate. Okay, let's see. How's everybody else doing? You're molding up, Lisa. You're molding up. What's going into your chocolates? What's going into your chocolates today?
Hey, I wanted fresh raspberries. Should I not do that?
Fresh raspberries is going to put moisture in there. Okay, so it's going to literally get that moisture into the chocolate, and it will get a little bit granular, and it will also affect the shelf life. But Lisa, to be fair, how long is this chocolate going to stick around for? I mean, like, I don't know. Unless the FDA is suddenly going to like raid your house, I don't think it's whatever you want to do. I just think go dry ingredients today, okay? Tem, sorry, Skittles, absolutely, absolutely. I'm whatever. It's your shop, okay? And by the way, I just want to make it very clear when I was saying, Charlie, when I said edibles, I was joking. I'm very aware that it's not legal federally in the United States of America. I was just like Charlie's like, oh my goodness, he just said that out loud. Yep, I like it. So moving away from that very quickly, it's whatever you want to put in there. Go for it, people. Okay. Salted peanuts. See, listen, if you ever feel like coming over to Jamaica, that salted peanut thing is exactly what we're after. Okay, we're only a small company, so ideas like that are exactly what we want. Actually, that's a good way to be able to segue into how I got into journalism. I'm going to leave everybody else to make their chocolate, to start adding their chocolate in. Make sure, Kate, by the way, when you start filling up your mold, just give it a little tap on the work surface when you've got most of your chocolate in there. You'll notice the surface tension change. It'll just get really nice and flat. That flatness is just going to basically get rid of any air bubbles. It'll just make it look more smooth and more professional at the back, okay? Segue. Chocolate making. How did I get into chocolate making? And it's damn hot in Jamaica, as you can tell. I got into chocolate making through journalism. A little bit of a history. Jamaica was a British colony for about 300 years. I mentioned to Siobhan earlier on that lots of Jamaicans ended up in the mother country because if you're born in the island up until 1962, you were born a British citizen. Generations of them fought for king and country, for queen and country, from the Crimea War all the way through to the Second World War. But it was the Second World War which was a great game changer. So many of them went over to Europe, fought over there, but when they were coming back in 46, as the troop ships were coming back, these people were like, wow, we're leaving a place where we literally fought and could have died. And we're going from that country where there's full employment to a place where there's almost mass unemployment. If you grew up in a community like my parents did, which was either cocoa or sugarcane, you were often doing the same job as what your great-great-grandparents had literally been emancipated from. But yet you were going back to it. And it was as if that was the be-all and end-all. Things hadn't changed in the colonies. And so my parents took the opportunity to literally go back in these troop ships when they were sailing back to the UK. My dad retrained as an engineer. My mum retrained as a nurse. Like the child of immigrants, I decided to throw that straight back in their faces. And wanted to become a downhill mountain biker. Didn't go down very well, Lisa. Not a fun day in the Davis household. I want to be a downhill mountain biker, Mum. They're like, don't think so, son. I went to college. I did a psychology degree. From there, I did a postgrad in journalism. Ended up working for the BBC. Worked my way up from being a trainee to being a producer and an editor, and from an editor to a reporter, and as a reporter to a correspondent. Ended up working as the North America correspondent for BBC News out of New York, which was great, and then got a job as a BBC correspondent in the Caribbean. That gave me a chance to be able to work around the region. I did a story about chocolate makers in the island of Grenada in the Eastern Caribbean, who, well, basically they were farmers who realized that the only way you can really bring yourself out of poverty is to add value. And if they had amazing cacao, why couldn't they make great chocolate? And so that's what they started to do. And they started to go and literally use the money they got from growing organic cacao to basically then buy equipment. Jeanette, if you lived in Grenada, you'll know of a Grenada chocolate company. That is the chocolate which I'm talking about. And so with this amazing cacao, they started to win awards. With awards came orders and a real desire to be good to the environment. And so not only did they get all their equipment to work off solar, but they also use literally an old-fashioned sailing boat to sail their chocolate, their products from Grenada all the way up to the port of New York, across the Atlantic to Ireland, Ireland to the UK over to Holland. I was like, if these farmers can do it, I want to do it. And I asked one of the lead people, what do I need to do? And he was like, well, you just do it. And I guess that's the thing for everything, right, people? If you really want to do something, there's really hardly anything stopping you from doing it. I think the most important thing which stops you from doing things is yourself. And so I decided that I was going to try and get into chocolate making. Within a year, we'd made connections with great farmers, and we'd won 2 of the top international chocolate awards, which was from the Academy of Chocolate. And we continue to do so every few years. People have the ability to be able to do so many things. As I said, it's often circumstance which stops us from being able to make us as magnificent as what we can be. So everybody, when your chocolate is in the molds, you're going to put it into the fridge and it's going to stay there. You can either put it into the fridge or the freezer. If you put it into the freezer, it's almost like blast chilling it. Lisa, I want you to imagine that your type 5 crystals in your chocolate are almost like a school disco, right? And we want to get everybody doing a conga line. I don't know why this is a conga line, because it's not like any conga line I've ever seen. But we want to stop everybody dancing. We do that by putting it into the freezer or into the fridge. That's going to literally arrest the development. We're just going to lock in place those type 5 crystals. And almost like a bad episode of Star Trek, they'll be locked in that single dance for the rest of eternity. J.J. Abrams has got nothing on me. He really, I think he's very overpaid. Like, I've got better ideas, right? Because like a whole like episode of like people stuck disco dancing in the 1970s would be amazing. Either way, right? Because they always have a throwback episode from Star Trek. I'm really giving too much information now, okay? But like literally, I can see Beth going, "Where is this conversation going?" Like, no idea. The analogy never stops.
John Travolta stuff, right?
Yeah, exactly. It could be like John Travolta Star Trek episode. It would be amazing. By the way, I watched Saturday Night Fever during lockdown. Horrendous film. The soundtrack is ruined forever. ruined forever. It's not good. It's not of the time. Not of the time. So anyway, everybody, chocolate's in the freezer. It's going to stay there. Any questions? Any questions on what you've seen so far? The chocolate will stay in for about another probably 10 minutes or so, 15 minutes, until literally the chocolate is solidified. Okay? Any questions, anyone? Any questions? No? No? This feels like one of those Bueller moments. It feels like a Bueller moment. Bueller? Beth, we're gonna, hopefully you guys can see where I've got a screen which says Chocolate 101. Can you see that? Chocolate 101. If that screen is available to you, can you see how shiny that chocolate is? These are chocolates, Liz, which we make here in Jamaica. That shine indicates that we have that wonderful type 5 crystals formed within our chocolate. We know that we're going to get the snap. We know that we're going to get the proper temper. We know that we're going to get the mouthfeel, all of the things, even the shelf stability is going to be much better in this tempered chocolate. This is where cacao originally would have come from. Hopefully you can see on that screen, we've got literally the globe there. Cacao would have been native to the upper Amazon. So we're talking the Peru and Ecuadorian borders. It would have made its way northwards and southwards, northwards going all the way up into, I guess, into modern day North America and Mexico, south following the Amazon all the way down to Brazil. Within that period, we start seeing cacao becoming more elevated as it makes its way through the continent, becoming more and more important, you know, not only from a sort of environmental point of view, but also from a social point of view. So we see it being planted out, we see it being turned into a form of currency, and a currency which grows with value as it literally goes through the continent. By the time it reaches the Aztec Empire, literally cacao has a, I mean, it's literally a food for the elite. You know, who's who of the society. Only they are allowed to consume cacao. It's used as a form of tribute. It makes its way across the Atlantic with the Spanish, with the conquistadors, and it becomes like the equivalent of, you know, like the equivalent of Viagra and cocaine within their societies, right? I know it's an unusual one to describe it, but Beth is really wondering where this is going now. But I say that because it was, people talk about how chocolate makes them feel. And chocolate makes you happy. It makes you happy because it's a neurostimulator, okay? And it was something which hadn't been seen in Europe at that point. People associated cacao, even from over in Mesoamerica, as being an aphrodisiac. There's a reason why we have chocolate at Valentine's Day. It's not by accident. It's because people associate it with romance. People associate it with sex. Because of that, and because those two things sell quite well, we suddenly find that cacao is being taken by these European nations and being planted out in the colonies which they're developing around the world. So we see it being introduced into the Philippines. We see it being introduced into Indonesia. We see it being introduced into India and into Africa, where even now 70% of the world's cacao is grown. But yet very little money goes to the farmers. Only about 6%, Liz, of your chocolate bar goes to the farmers. The rest of the money goes often to the 10 big producers, processors of chocolate in the global cacao supply. This is how it starts its life. Those little white blossoms are the cocoa. Cocoa blossoms will literally, those cocoa blossoms will literally open for a few days, 3 or 4 days, 50,000 blossoms, 2 flowering seasons. When they open, the only insect which allows pollination is the midge. That insect will go from tree to tree to tree. And when it does so, they will pass on the genetic code from the different trees. And that's what's going to produce, especially here in the Caribbean, wonderful, exquisite flavors. We're always trying to replicate the rainforest. Within the rainforest, cacao would be an understory tree. And what I mean by that is it would literally be surrounded by huge tropical hardwoods. They would be limiting the amount of light coming through. So almost like, I don't know, Liz, have you ever been to like a wood or a forest where there's like shafts of light coming through? Because the canopy's so overgrown. It's kind of like that. And cacao likes that sort of environment, hot, humid, damp, and it's perfect also for the midges, which literally will pass that cacao, as I said, the pollen from tree to tree to tree. This is what it's like on our agroforestries. We plant banana as a companion crop. Hopefully you can see that tall grass, that sugar cane. As we poured over the river, you'll meet my wife, Marta, my better half. Okay, and this is Roger, one of the Jamaican farmers who we work with. You can see here, this is a cacao tree. Kate, it's almost like 4 main branches and the main trunk. the cacao will only grow off the main body of a tree. If it grew off the peripheral limbs, the size of the fruit is so big, it would literally rip it apart, okay? So you'll only find, from those 50,000 blossoms, only 50 cacao pods will bear. And they'll come in lots of different colors, not only depending on what different midges went to it, but also the genetics, the primary genetics of that tree. So the ones which are turquoise will have a different flavor to the ones which are orange, to the ones which are yellow, to the ones which are red. I wanted to imagine it a little bit like, Beth, I don't know, a baking apple, as opposed to a golden delicious. They're all apples, but they taste very different in terms of the flavors which are coming out. And think of cacao, which grows mainly in West Africa, as having a more robust chocolate flavor. That's the chocolate note. That's the primary flavor which you get from it. But I want you guys to remember, next time you ever go to a restaurant and you see like a flavor wheel for wine or a flavor wheel for coffee, the cacao is almost in the same level. So Liz, the flavors which come out of chocolate are akin to like fruity flavors and the variety of fruits you can think of, earthy notes, spicy, even like floral notes are really prominent in some chocolates. And because of that, the flavor wheels of coffee and the flavor wheels of wine, combine them together and you're about on the sort of same page as what you get with chocolate. It really is complex. We'll get those beans, we'll break them open. This is a pod. And especially for the people who are on GISH, I'm going to show you what it's like on the inside, okay? I'm going to break it open. Okay, you missed the extreme violence, but inside, this is the outer skin, and inside we have around about 30 to 50 beans surrounded by a white pulp. That white pulp, which you can see there, is the fruit, okay? The fruit itself has an incredible flavor. It's gonna be disgusting because I'm gonna suck on one at the same time. Everybody, I want you to imagine a cross between pineapple and lychee with a hint of banana and a whole lot of Jolly Rancher thrown in for good measure. I have to be careful because this is a choke hazard, Beth, as I'm doing this. But importantly, I just saw a question about that's the size of it. This is the size of it. You know, this is like one of those moments, if you think that's a knife, this is a knife, okay? So, I mean, I don't know. My dad used to say I had a big head, Ali. I don't know if that's technically bullying. But either way, this is a big fruit, okay? The fruit itself, inside, as I said, 30 to 50 beans. The actual pulp itself, it has a very mango-y feel to it, okay? So imagine the sort of feel of a mango. Well then, look, see all of the outer skins? The outer skins are gonna go back into the field. We'll put this back into the farm. As it rots and breaks down, it's gonna be a perfect breeding ground for those midges, for the gnats, which are gonna be part of the pollination process. They're gonna be the pollinators. And it'll also put in nitrogen into the soil, which is super important because it's free fertilizer. We'll then take the beans and we'll literally take these beans, a ton of these individual beans, over to a fermentary, and we'll work out payment. Payment is still based here in Jamaica on wooden boxes. When those wooden boxes are full, that's the equivalent of 25 kilos of these. Each bean is around about a gram. So you can imagine how many you have to break open. Well, if you can't do the maths, and I told you I've got this calculator, so I can't really do the maths, but what I will tell you is it's the equivalent of breaking open 600 of these, okay, to be able to fill that with 25 kilos of beans. We'll put wild yeast from banana leaf on top of our wet sugary mass, and that will naturally start the fermentation process, okay? It will ferment slowly over time, and as it ferments, it's going to, hopefully you can still see the screen, as it ferments, we'll put it into, see if I can bring this back up. As it ferments, we'll put it into these boxes. Day 1 will smell of that wonderful lychee juice. Day 2 will smell of almost like alcohol, ethanol. Day 3 will smell of a little bit like white vinegar. Day 4 will smell of, let's say, like a cider vinegar. And day 5 will smell very much like an old gym. Imagine going to a gym which someone hasn't cleaned and you get that slightly socky, stinky smell. That's the final stage. And I know it sounds disgusting, but we need the beans to go through that transformation. When we do that, we'll then take the beans to a drying house where they'll dry for between 5 to 15 days, depending on the sunshine. We don't want them to dry too quickly, or else it'll literally trap in some of those negative flavors in there. But if it dries slowly over time, we're going to get beans which won't look purple, almost like a freshly opened pod or a bean, okay? But they'll look brown, they'll look fractured, they'll look fissured. Not only are they the color of chocolate, but they'll also be the flavor of chocolate. We'll roast the beans for about half an hour, 300 degrees, until it smells like the best chocolate chip cookie you ever smelled. We'll break open those beans. When we do so, you remember earlier on you saw those fracture lines on the inside of the bean? Well, guess what? When you squeeze on the bean after it's been roasted, the skin falls off and it will break along those lines, those fracture lines, and we'll add that into a refiner. That will slowly crush those nibs into a powder into a paste into a liquid. And when we'll then add sugar into it when it's completely smooth. When it's completely smooth, you can't feel any grittiness, we'll pour the chocolate out. That chocolate will initially have different types of cocoa butter forming in it. That's what those patterns are. Every batch of chocolate almost has its own unique DNA, its own unique pattern. But to be able to get that chocolate to have that wonderful shine and snap and that wonderful texture, we need to melt the chocolate down. Same as what you guys did earlier on. We'll melt it down. We'll add slowly but surely our properly tempered chocolate, which has those type 5 crystals in. When that's all incorporated in, we'll slowly put it into the freezer, and that is going to leave us with chocolate, which is really wonderfully well tempered.
Hey, Nick, we can't see your screen at the moment. When you were showing the live demo of the chocolate beans, we had to move off that. So if you want to bring that back up, you can do that now.
No problem, no problem. I'm sorry that we missed it. I'm going to eat this for a second. It is really, really, it's such a gorgeous taste. It's actually the second highest antioxidant food on the planet. The reason why most people don't get to eat it is because you need the beans to rot. You need them to ferment to enable our chocolate to really bring out the flavors of what's needed. So hopefully, can you guys see that or no? No? Let me see if I can screen share it. Thank you very much. Can you see the screen now? Guys, can you see the screen?
Yep.
Excellent. So hopefully, sorry, when the screen went off, it lost me for a second. No.
You're muted for a second there, Nick. All right, Stephanie, calm down with the GISH event technical issues. Okay, Nick, you're muted at the moment. What are you trying to find?
Hopefully you can see the screen. Can you see the screen?
Yeah.
Okay,
Everybody.
so I'm saying these are the drying houses where the beans will stay. They'll stay in these drying houses for around about, as I said, between 5 and 15 days, okay, in these drying houses. When they're in the drying houses, eventually it will get complete. We don't want it to dry too much, or else it's going to be almost a little bit like when you dry a raisin. Think of a California raisin. It'll basically shrivel up completely. And that will trap in any of those unwanted flavors. But we want to try and get rid of those as quickly as possible. As I said a moment ago, when we get that bean really nice and brown, we know that we've created not only the color of chocolate, but the flavor of chocolate. If it's purple, it's weird enough, it's actually quite good for you. The purple beans are high in polyphenols, which are actually really good for us. Think of things like, I don't know, blueberries and other dark fruits like that. They're heart healthy. This is the same thing here, high in antioxidants, okay? We're going to put those beans into a roaster. They're going to roast for about half an hour. And eventually we'll take the nibs out. Those nibs will be put into a refiner where they'll break down and slowly turn into a liquid. We'll add sugar in there, which takes about another day to break down. And then we'll pour the chocolate out. As I said, you can see these different patterns. These different patterns literally represent the different cocoa butter crystals which are forming in there. But remember, we want just type 5. So to get that, we're going to melt our chocolate down. Okay, we're going to add in chocolate which already has those right characteristics until we have wonderfully well-tempered chocolate. So everybody, thanks so much. Hopefully you can still see me. There are still hundreds of people here, which is great. I want you to go and check your chocolate now, Siobhan. Anybody else, go and check your chocolate, take it out of the freezer. Okay, when it comes out, it's going to hopefully be solid. If it's solid, you're going to wait about a minute for that chocolate to just get back to room temperature. You're going to turn it upside down and just pop your chocolate out. While you guys are doing that, are there any questions? Are there any questions on what you have seen or what you've heard so far? One question. Oh yeah, I can see a few. Should you make a mold out of a curvature to add to liquid? Make a mold out of the curvature to add to a liquid. Theo, I'm going to get you to ask that directly because I'm not quite sure what you mean. What should we look for in ethically sourced chocolate? I'm going to be absolutely truthful. Don't look for fair trade. Fair trade is only, what, 10% of the kind of global price, the trade price of chocolate. If, like, let's say right now it's $800 for like globally traded cacao, that's only $180, right? So that's nothing in terms of really changing the life. And actually, fair trade is better than some of the others. Some, like, you know, other marks literally pick and choose how much money they want to pay to farmers. So they pay absolutely tiny amounts for a premium for farmers working their socks off, and the farmers get $60, $70, $80 for all of that work. So try and buy direct wherever you're living. Try and look for people who are involved in direct trade. When you have a relationship with a farmer, you tend to not want to rip them off. Simple as that. And so you know that there's going to be more money which is going to it. Okay. Does the variety of a tree have it has a huge impact, Jessica, on the flavor of cacao. So within, as I said, the Caribbean, we have varietals which were almost picked and chosen from the 1930s for their flavor and characteristics. And literally people have been trying to mess about genetically with cacao for centuries. Picking, let's say, within Mexico or within South America, white beans and really working to enhance the quality of those white beans so they have less bitter flavor. Some of that happened from genetic accidents and it's continued through to this day. And that's the same thing. And so the trees have a huge role, but so too does the fermentation. That last process has a huge role. If you get the fermentation wrong, the chocolate will taste disgusting. And I mean disgusting. It will almost taste vegetal when you're eating it. So how do you add things like flavored extracts or Kahlua to chocolate without ruining it? I generally would add to a chocolate bar, it can only be dry ingredients. So you're going to be adding oils. Okay, we don't want anything which is a liquid component which is going to seize the chocolate, almost coagulate those cocoa butter crystals together so it turns to concrete. So if I'm making a coffee chocolate bar, guess what's going in there? It's coffee, dried coffee. Okay, if you're making a milk chocolate bar, milk chocolate, the milk which goes into milk chocolate is a powder. Simple as. So dry ingredients, chili pepper, yeah, absolutely. It doesn't change the crystals. Remember, Lisa, it's only liquid which is going to change how all of those are going to be bonding together. Okay, though technically some people are adding things like alcohol in, adding the alcohol in and almost letting some of the alcohol burn off to be able to really allow that to do it. But you literally run the risk of destroying your machinery because as it's going around in the machines, it's literally, it's putting so much stress on them because it's just stopping the machines working properly, because as that sort of liquid hits the chocolate, it just gums up completely. Suggestions on how to make a chocolate farm to support when you're not a business. It's really difficult. Growing and making chocolate in the developed world and the developing world, two different things. Here, I think the most important thing is to provide enough support so that farmers know that people want to buy it. You know, climate change, no matter what you may think or think about it or not think about it, is something which is not going to impact chocolate as quickly as the fact that farmers and young people don't want to continue growing cacao. It's so lowly paid that young people would prefer to be poor with internet than poor living in the middle of nowhere with no internet. It really is that simple. I know, you know, and that's the reality for many young people. So they're moving away from these traditional agricultural businesses because there's no money in it. And so that's the biggest issue which we have, not global warming, not climate change, but the fact that people don't want to grow our food because we don't put value in food, unless you happen to be a Michelin star. What's the difference for white chocolate, Ali? White chocolate is, the end of a process where you saw the chocolate being refined down, and it was almost a sticky paste. What they'll do is they'll take that sticky paste with no sugar in there. They'll almost put it like in a muslin bag. And when that's put under pressure, sort of within a container, what happens is there's like a crucible to allow that cocoa butter to flow off. And that will collect the oil which comes out of the bean, will flow off into another container. And within that muslin bag will be the leftover, the solids, the cocoa solids, cocoa powder. And what they'll do is they'll add milk, sugar, and cocoa butter together to make a milk chocolate bar. It can be your dark chocolate has a texture like truffles. It depends on, Sally, what you were heating it with. Sometimes it can be, if you're using a double boiler, if you have a spatula which is sticking up, okay, and the steam is coming out, water can literally sometimes just flow up and then condensate and flow straight down into your chocolate. And when that happens, you will have chocolate which seizes. That's my most likely explanation, because if you did it exactly the same thing for one, it should work with the other. There should be literally no reason why the two things couldn't work, because it's the same technique, just a slight difference in temperature, just a very slight difference in temperature, just that minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes to make the difference. Everybody.
Yeah, Nick, thank you so much. That's incredible. You're not only so knowledgeable about this topic, but you also make it so much easier to understand. This is like this is a scientific endeavor. This is an agricultural endeavor. This is a socio-political endeavor. And thank you so much for bringing us into your world. This is so phenomenal. I want everybody to know. So the moderator, we're going to put the link to your website there, Nick. Also, if you're interested in engaging Nick for parties yourselves as well, go email Nick, or I believe you're on the Airbnb platform as well to find you there. You could book a party for friends and do more chocolate making and get into the inclusions and the exclusions and the edible arrangements and the all the things you want in there. Whatever you want, you can go as far as you want to go, and to seeing how far you can push chocolate. Nick, you're amazing, man. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for sticking with it. Especially if you're not making, it can be difficult kind of processing it. And I do speak incredibly fast, Beth, so I apologize for you having to sign at the speed of light. So thank you so much, everybody. Please stay well. Please stay healthy during this particularly difficult time, which we're all having to deal with. That's the most important thing. But before I go, can I just say one quick thing, Charlie?
Please.
The actual name, 11 Cacao, the name of the business, is actually a Jamaican proverb. The proverb in its entirety is 11 cocoa, full basket. 11 cocoa, full basket. What that means is one cocoa bean at a time.
I'm sorry, could you say that again? You sort of broke up.
So it's 11 cocoa, full basket. 11 cocoa, full basket. What that means is 11 cocoa bean at a time. 11 cocoa pod at a time. Little by little, we achieve our goals in life. Little by little, we get to where we need to be. Our success may not happen overnight, but it will do if we 11 cocoa, if we just keep plugging away. So everybody, stay well. Siobhan, thank you so much. Take care, everybody. Until next time. Until next time. Beth, you're a star. Take care, everybody. Thank you.
Bye.